Hello, everyone. I am Matt Williamson at Williamson NFL. How's everyone doing? Who cares? Let's just talk about this trade. Here we go. Let's just dig in. I mean, this is basically a one-for-one trade. So I'll preface this by saying Diontae Johnson is worth more and is better than Diontae Jackson. So there's a lot of things about this trade I don't understand. We'll get to it, but I also have a hunch there's another shoe to drop. Just the way that Omar and this team does business, that's just a hunch. So in the margins, you move up about 50 spots late in the draft. That's not nothing, though. I mean, this draft class has awful depth. So that 7th rounder was kind of a throwaway. Now you may get something better than that, so moving up late, I think, has some value. You only pick up about $500,000 in cap space. So that's not much either. I mean, originally I thought this move was going to be, made a lot of cap space, and then you're going to go do something else with that. Now, they do still have a lot of cap space. They can restructure Jackson's deal. They could throw a year on the other end of it, and maybe that's going to happen, and that would be part of the other shoe to drop. When I say another shoe to drop, I think there's a chance, and no one's told me this, I'm totally just pulling it out of thin air, basically, that today, tomorrow, when the official details come out, something will be along the lines of, and Carolina picked up $5 million of his salary or something like that, so that the Steelers open more than just $500,000 in cap space. That would add up to me. That would make this deal even, you know what I mean? In terms of right now, Carolina got the better player. So let's talk about Jackson, though. What is he? He's small. I mean, he's 5'10-ish. He's 180. He is a burner. He came out of LSU as a true track star. And I've been saying for a while, as have others, the Steelers' corners and secondary as a whole have been way too slow. Well, he helps that. He did miss a large portion of 2022 with an Achilles, but I think he's regained at least most of his speed, and that's important as well. A lot of people have talked about his injury history, but he's 28 years old, and he started 76 out of 80 career games. So the Achilles 2 years ago aside, I don't know that, dinging him heavy for injuries is a huge negative for him. He played all the games last year. Again, he plays, that defense played a lot of cover 3, though. They were very vanilla on the back end, didn't play a lot of man. He has very little slot experience. Before I dug into him, I assumed he was more slot, diversified than that, but he's a smaller outside corner that can really run. Coming out of LSU, he was not very fond of tackling. That has changed. He's become much more aggressive, but he's not great at it. He bounces off some tackles. He tackles high. He does miss a fair amount of tackles. In the end, when I said Johnson is greater than Jackson in terms of value, I believe that to be true. And if another shoe doesn't drop, I don't think the Steelers got the better of this deal. I don't think Diontae had to leave town. He's such a distraction. I don't think it was AB levels, that this guy has to go. And in a way, well, definitely, you created a bigger hole than you filled, because you should not be done at corner. I mean, a day 2 corner makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you can set yourself up that way. But now you need 2 receivers, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But real quick, folks, BetOnline continues to be your number one source for all your basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year. With up-to-the-minute odds, stats, and trends, you can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting, contests, and all the best player props. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop or your mobile devices. Head to BetOnline today to become part of the team, and remember to use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, all one word, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. I can't believe that the Steelers' plan is go into the draft with this group of receivers. I mean, it's Pickens, it's Austin, who I think is a 4 that could turn into a 3, and not much else. They also have very, very, very little money invested in wide receivers. So might be time to invest in some. And a big portion of this is from today until opening day, there are many more receivers available than there are corners. I think this free agency class of corners stinks. Is really bad for the Steelers. The draft class is good. And I do think they'll draft one with Jackson on board. But all of a sudden, the receivers in free agency have not gotten scooped up. And these are some names I want you to know. Is Calvin Ridley. I mean, could they go give Calvin Ridley $18 million? Maybe. Marquise Brown. He would be much cheaper than that. Not much cheaper, but he'd be noticeably cheaper. I think they'd like more size on the outside. I know you're going to shrug your shoulders at this one, and I kind of am too, but Odell Beckham Jr., I mean, when he's out there, he still looks really good. I think Curtis Samuel is a really interesting weapon, and I do think all these guys' price tags are dropping rapidly as we speak. Tyler Boyd. Everyone's going to talk about Tyler Boyd. I think you can get Tyler Boyd for 2 years, $7 million, something like that. And I get it. He'll block. He's a slot. He's tough. It's another AFC North pickup. He's from around here. He's just slow. I mean, I wouldn't hate it, but I would also think wide receiver could be in play after signing Tyler Boyd is even as a round 1 guy, but I would sort of understand it at the right price. He's better than Allen Robinson. I mean, that's not exciting though. Another name I like a lot though is Reynolds, a downfield guy from the Lions, a little more angular than like a Pickens, but I bet you could get him $5 or $6 million. He's a good player. And when he's out there, he makes plays. And then this is the name I really am enticed by. And when I'm recording this, it hasn't happened yet, but it has to almost has to, for the Chargers to get under salary cap numbers. They're probably 99% chance going to cut Big Mike Williams. Keenan Allen could also be held, be gotten in trade. I just think of Williams and Pickens as these two bad dudes outside the numbers with size. Russell Wilson throwing deep balls. I know he has an injury history, but it's not as bad as you probably think. He is coming off an injury. He probably could get him on a prove-it deal. Trading for Keenan Allen, probably not, but he'd be a good leader for that side of the ball and, give you a little more substance on that, side of the ball. So overall, I don't quite understand this deal just because, again, Johnson's worth more than Jackson. He's better at what he does, and I think you created a hole that you didn't fill the other one nearly as big as the one you created. But the Steelers do have a lot of cap space. I am interested if they would consider playing Jackson in the slot. He's done very, very little of that, but I'm interested if he's at least entertaining that because he's not the 6'3" corner they usually play on the outside. And I do expect them to make some more signings now. I mean, we've gone through 2 full days of free agency. The price tags are going to start to fall down. The Steelers have plenty of cap space and can make a lot more with a restructuring of Jackson for one, Cam Hayward for others. I think they'll sign a safety and a wide receiver soon. I still would kick the tires on a Connor Williams at center. I would love to see what the negotiations would be for Mike Williams or even Calvin Ridley, maybe Marquise Brown, and then draft one on day 2, something along those lines. And in a nutshell, on paper, reading it right now, I don't think this is a great trade for the Steelers. I think they could have probably got more. I don't know that, but I think Johnson has more value than this, or just keep him. But if it comes out soon that, hey, the Panthers are picking up a large portion of his contract or something along those lines, then I'm totally understanding it. Right now, I'm having a little bit of hard times coming to grips with it. But I think much of it just comes down to supply and demand, and the supply of remaining receivers, free agents still out there in draft, is much better than the supply of remaining corners. I mean, especially when you factor in the free agent corners out there are not exciting at all, to be very honest with you. And I don't want to invest in many of them. So there you have it. That's my take. Over and out.